Hi, I'm Kesenya and welcome to Guiding Star Astrology. I'm your Astro Weather Girl, here with this week's Astro Weather Report. I'm going to show you how the stars are going to affect your life this week. Well, hello everybody in YouTube land. Welcome to this week's Astro Weather Report. I'm your Astro Weather Girl, Kesenya, and I want to empower you through the tool of astrology this week. This week we are checking out the energies that are unfolding between the 2nd of October through to the 9th of October, and it's quite a doozy. We've got a lot of stuff happening. But keep in mind as I do this reading that this is a personal reading. We're looking at how these passing energies are going to affect your life on a personal individual level. That's my specialty. I'm not a mundane astrologer. I do that for myself, but I don't do that in a professional sense. So I can see that there's these big collective experiences that we're all going through as a whole and that we're all living through right now. And this is a result of Pluto in Capricorn, Saturn-Uranus square, Eris-Pluto square, and the impending conjunction this week that we're all going to experience of Mars and the sun and the moon all coming together. And that's building towards the energies of the 5th and 6th of October. If you want to know about how that new moon and that crescendo of energies might affect you and your life, then you could check out my Patreon page where I have a new moon report for all signs. This new moon is going to be the most challenging one of all of 2021. So you might want to check out in what ways those energies will be playing out individually. But as I began by saying, that my focus is personal astrology, not the big mundane astrology, world events and what have you. So this reading is more about what are the passing energies moving through the ether that are going to affect you at an emotional level, at a personal level, and even in your external reality in the week ahead, rather than the big collective influences. So what I'm going to be speaking about today will be more about what will affect you. And how you will feel in the week ahead. So before I jump into that, can I just remind people there is 1 week left to celebrate spring equinox with me by taking the opportunity to learn some more astrology. There's 20% off all my Learn Astrology courses. This is the last week that I'm offering that. And just for those who don't know, some of the titles in my Learn Astrology webinars include what to expect in your midlife, the midlife transits of astrology. That's a fantastic one for anyone in their 30s or 40s to undertake and know what's going to unfold or what they're experiencing and why. When Will Love Come is another great one, and that's particularly suited to anyone of any age, really. Anyone who wants to know what are the indicators for love and relationships entering into our life. That's 20% off as well. Will I Marry Again? That webinar looking at multiple marriages and the energies around multiple marriage. That's 20% off. Very cheap, that one. Vedic astrology for Western astrologers is another of my webinars that I'm offering here with 20% off. If you are a Western astrologer and you want to increase your predictive capabilities and your techniques and mechanisms, if you want to add more to your little bucket of astrology techniques, then that is the webinar for you. It's a fantastic look at all the different techniques that Vedic astrology uses at a very easy to understand level. And finally, if you're new to astrology, then why not take advantage of the 20% off and do my How to Read Your Own Astrology Chart webinar. It's only about an hour and a half, and we go into using software that is available online for free, how to use it, how to know what you're looking for, how to understand what your chart is saying to you. So that's a terrific one if you're new to astrology, and if you are, you're so welcome here. Okay, the best days this week Remember, I am using Australian times. If you're in the US, most of these best days will be occurring sort of a day behind us, behind what I say, particularly if you're in sort of the west coast, and the western side of the US, you'll tend to be a bit of a day behind Australian times that I'll be using here. Okay, so be conscious of the void, of course, moon, and avoid instigating anything under its energy. The moon is void, of course, when it is at the point, at the last few degrees of a sign where it's not making any aspects, Ptolemaic aspects we're looking at here, to any other planet. If we take action when the moon is void, of course, when it's not making any Ptolemaic aspects, then we will tend to see nothing come of any of our endeavors and our efforts will be wasted. So keep that in mind. You could use an app like iLuna to help you know when the moon is currently void, of course, in your part of the world. But on the 4th and the 5th of October, these are going to be terrific days for embarking on anything that we would like to see bring us more pleasure in our life. So that might be going on a date or visiting an art gallery, just including more beauty, more love, more romance, refinement and sophistication into our life, more cultural joy, so to speak, going out to a fine restaurant and that kind of thing. These are great days. You'll get a buzz out of enjoying those things, and creating a sense of delight and pleasure will come easily on these days. On the 8th and 9th of October, if you need to turn over a new leaf or reinvent yourself or let go of some old habits that you don't want in your life anymore, or release some old circumstances, that's the best day. You can take action towards that end and the universe will tend to support you. Now, no planets are falling out of bounds this week, and that means moving beyond the kingdom of the sun, moving beyond the declination of the Tropic of Capricorn and the Tropic of Cancer, and that's what an out of bounds planet is. And this might give you, might give us all a bit of a reprieve from extremes of energy, because when the planets go beyond those declinations, we find that things can be kind of all or nothing energy, full on, almost Uranian style energy, like just a bit erratic and a bit unexpected and over the top. So things are a bit more contained this week, and that's probably going to give us, it's going to hold space for us, I think, given the rather intense energies that are building this week. Thank goodness we don't have out of bounds planets in that regard. So what is happening this week? Well, the breakdown is that on the 2nd of October, we're having a square between Pluto, which is down here in Capricorn, and Mercury here in Libra. They're making a 90-degree angle to one another at 24 degrees. Now, interestingly, Mercury will be conjunct the fixed star Spica, and they're both at the declination of sort of 11 and 12 degrees south. So if they've been visible in the sky together at the same point practically for the last 2 weeks or so. If you've been out under the night sky, you will have seen them usually setting in the west at this time. Now, some astrologers might talk about Mercury being in a conjunction with Arcturus at this time, but Arcturus is actually way out of the declination. It's not at the same declination as Mercury at all. And all you need to do is look up at the night sky to see that Mercury and Arcturus are not anywhere near one another, but Mercury and Spica are. Just a bit on fixed stars for those who want to know. The most of the fixed stars have their particular degree that we see in astrological software projected onto the ecliptic. They're not actually sitting on the ecliptic at that degree, but their degree is projected onto the ecliptic from wherever they are, way out of declination of the ecliptic. Spica, and just one or two other stars as well. Spica is one of the only stars, fixed stars, that sits on the ecliptic. So we can actually see legitimate visible conjunctions with planets and the fixed star Spica. And this is why Spica is one of the strongest planets all the fixed stars, rather, are very influential in certain ways when we're looking at parents and what have you. But Spica is one of the few fixed stars that can be in an actual visible conjunction with a planet because it falls near and on the ecliptic plane. So just to mention that, and the reason I'm mentioning that is that speaker, even though we've got this square from Pluto, Uranus, intense, passionate words that transform, but usually in a harsh way with a square aspect, speaker's going to hold space. Speaker is angelic words. Speaker is kindness. Speaker is gentility, artistry, beauty. It's one of the most angel-hearted, shall we say, fixed stars in the night sky. Now, coming up on my Patreon page, I'm going to be doing a series looking at some fixed stars. Speaker, of course, will be one of them because it is a prominent and important fixed star in the sign of Libra in tropical astrology and in the constellation of Virgo in visible astrology. So if you want to join the Patreon page so you can jump in on the fixed star information, head on over to my Patreon page. The link will be in the description below. So that's Pluto square Mercury happening on the 2nd of October in conjunction with speaker, who's going to hold space, thank God, for that rather intense verbal energy that Pluto will be inflicting upon Mercury. Now, on the 4th of October, we're going to have another mercurial influence, and this is when Mercury makes a trine to Jupiter. Now, this is much nicer than the square to Pluto. Squares are hard aspects. They carry the energy of Saturn. There's restriction there. There's blockage there. There's frustration there. But in a trine, we've got the energy of Jupiter. Trines carry that benefic energy of Jupiter. And so Mercury trining Jupiter at 22 degrees now. That can be beautiful. Now, I'm not going to go into what all of these mean. I'm just telling you what is happening. We're going to be focusing on one particular energy in just a minute. On the 6th of October, the new moon is going to be occurring here at 13 degrees of the sign of Libra. As I said, I break that down for all signs on my Patreon video. On the 8th of October, and this is the energy that we're going to be talking about now for this read, we've got the Sun in a conjunction with Mars here. They are going to be at the same degree. Now, they're going to be actually at the same degree a little earlier than the 8th of October, but on the 8th of October, they're going to be conjunct to the minute, to the exactitude when they will meet. So Mars will be Kesenya at this time. It will be in the presence of the king. The general, Mars, comes into the presence of the king, the sun. So we're going to feel Mars in a conjunction with the sun a little earlier than the 8th, most likely. We'll be probably feeling it all week long. In fact, I'm noticing it already happening in the world around me, in the behavior of people around me and in society collectively. But it becomes exact on the 8th. So that's the deadline day, so to speak, after which they're going to start to separate. And it's like, that build-up eases off. So there will be a bit of relief after the 8th. Okay, so what does it mean to have Mars conjunct the Sun? Well, there's a potential for arguments, temper tantrums, and being even verbally abusive, either on the giving end or on the receiving end. And this is because the Sun and Mars, they agitate one another. So they're in a state of agitation. So there will be a point when they're Kesenya where the issues of men, Mars is men, and the issues of passion, the issues of courage will come before the Sun to be heard. So if you, for example, when the Sun is Kesenya on the 8th, when Mars is Kesenya on the 8th, you might like to petition the powers that be to give us more courage to fight tyranny right now, to fight the bureaucracy that is trying to suppress the liberties of human beings. So you might be able to come before the Mars, courage, valor, heroism coming before the king. We can actually ask for assistance from the universe right now under that energy. But we're going to be talking about Mars conjunct with the Sun and all that's meaning for us over the week ahead, because it's playing out now, as I said. So there on the 8th we can come before the king, but on the days surrounding the 8th, we might have this irritation. We might observe these temper tantrums. We might be observing arguments and abuse, irritation that quickly escalates to aggression and even violence in our world. I mean, these are two fire planets. It's a very fiery combination when they come together in the sky. These are two masculine planets. And so masculine energy, and I'm not talking about men and women, I'm talking about the energy of the masculine, which we all carry. It can bring us to a point of taking action. Masculine energy is to initiate, to step forward, to take action. And so we might find ourselves being pushed to take action now in the world and to instigate some kind of instigation of energy, I suppose. So without somewhere to direct our energy now, we can experience frustration, dejection, and it can even lead to psychological and health issues if we don't channel our energy wisely. The sun is vitality, Mars is to energize. I mean, put these two together and it's potent. We are going to feel very on fire now, on fire maybe for justice. It's occurring in the sign of Libra, the sign of the scales, the sign of balance, the sign of justice. So maybe this is something that really needs to happen. Maybe we need to fire up over the injustices occurring in the world. But we are also going to be so filled with vitality and energization that it could be quite overwhelming in the physical sense for us. And that's why I said it could lead to feeling frustrated because nothing's coming of our energy, or we're not utilizing our energy, or we end up with sort of psychological and health issues because the energy does not have an outlet. It's like, when we're boiling water, if the steam does not have somewhere to escape to, if you've ever used one of those old kettles, those whistling kettles, they make a big noise as the steam is coming out because it can't get out fast enough. And we need to have an escape hatch, sort of a valve that can let off steam. And this is why it's so important to keep yourself and your family, if you've got young kids or you're part of a family home dynamic, you need to keep busy. You need to direct this energy into something worthwhile. Without this impulsive vitality can see you going a little bit stir crazy. So it's a great time for doing some martial arts or taking a walk, going for a bike ride. If you're in lockdown, as people still are in Australia, for all my friends out there in lockdown, plan to go for a walk, as much as you can, if you're allowed to go out that 5K radius and what have you. Do some dancing in your home, do some martial arts, light a fire in your backyard barbecue pit. I mean, these are fire energies. So direct that energy of fire into maybe, cutting some wood and chucking it on the fire. Dust off your exercise bike and go for it. Like, get active as much as you are able to channel this energy into less frustrating paths. Now, this energy is also highly competitive, but not competitive in the good sportsmanship kind of way, competitive in a way that feels angry and aggressive. We feel incredibly competitive to the point that it becomes painful. Those of us who have Mars in the same sign as the Sun in our natal chart, we know all about this, to the point where people with this in their natal chart will tend to shy away from competition with others, in any sphere, in the dating sphere, in the sports field, in the workspace. We won't compete. I'm not going to compete with you for that guy. Sorry, but I can't handle it. Too much pain in the energy of competition. It's hard for people with Sun and Mars in the same sign. And this is the agitation and frustration that is in the collective right now. It's enormous, and it can cause us to react in unhealthy ways if we're not conscious about it. So as someone with the Sun and Mars in the same sign, take it from me, it's actually best to avoid competition during this week if you can in your workspace and your home environment, that sort of thing. Seek only to compete with yourself. Try to beat the last time that you had on your bike to travel, 20 Ks or whatever you do on your bike. You try to do more reps with your weights and compete against the last set of reps that you did when you had your weights out. Run an extra kilometer, or, whatever field you choose to, let's say, compete only against yourself, not against others for something, because it's too agitating under this energy. Sometimes we can't help, maybe we're in a job situation, we're competing for a tender or something, and the competition element is just there and we can't avoid it. So you might like to have some let off steam mechanisms up your sleeve to help you cope with the intense agitation that might be present with this one. Avoid confrontation on the whole would be my advice, because similarly to the competition element, the level of aggravation that is present when we are in a confrontative situation just becomes so intensely painful. So for people, again, I use the reference to people with this in their natal chart, confronting someone about an offense, confronting someone where they have stepped over a boundary or, taken liberties is really hard, because it just creates this internal, not fear, but just this internal pain and sensitivity within us that's really hard to take. And so that's what it's like for people with this natally. But in the when the sun gets burnt, Mars gets burnt by the sun, and the collective level, as is happening this week, our confrontations are tinged with internal angst as well. We're so passionate and fired up about something that it's like twisting that rag, that face washer or that damp rag, and wringing out that water. We feel like we're being twisted because we're in just so much intensity and agitation with what the confrontation is all about or the competition is all about, that it is twisting us. It's so painful. And that doesn't mean we don't stand up for justice, Libra, and for rights where it is warranted to. Sometimes we have to live with that internal twisting to do what's right. So don't get me wrong, but just know that for the collective, doing so this week will probably come with a sense of internal agony, if you like. So have some mechanism for release. Now, that might, let's list a few things. That might be support yourself in keeping you cool by, let's say you stand up and confront something that is an issue in your life, and after, like maybe it's at work, and after work you go for a swim. You go and cool off in the water, doing something energetic in a cooling environment like at the pool. Or maybe you go sailing, or as we often do up where I come from, after work we'd go out for a water ski or something like that. Or maybe you might take a walk in some sort of cool ferny gully. Drink more water, because these fire energies are going to be very strong. You might like to drink more water and avoid spicy foods, which will heat up this antagonism and this fiery energy in you even more. And even sort of not just curries and things, but any sort of hot, peppery kind of foods as well. So if you can take that approach to keep your cool literally, it will help you to keep your cool figuratively as well, and cope better with the intensity that's coming on these days in the next week. Now, some people who have planets around this area, particularly planets that rule maybe the first house or the sixth house, the houses of the body, they might be more subjected to, or they might notice on their body more inflammations, fevers, rashes, things that are caused by heat and dryness. So if you have the ruler of your sixth house or first house around 13 degrees of Libra, then, this might be what you experience. And it's a good idea to maybe just wear cool, light, breezy kind of clothing, loose clothing. Maybe have an ice pack in the freezer just in case you need to sort of cool an inflammation down or something. Moisturizer, keep that at the ready too. Your skin can feel very dry, eczema kind of stuff can be a result of this drying influence. Now, the sun usually represents powerful kingly authority figures like the father, and with this conjunction, we can react more sensitively to people of that nature telling us what to do and trying to boss us around. Mars is a bit uncomfortable about that, thank you very much, and it gets a bit fighty, that's a word my kids used to use when we were little. I'm feeling fighty, mummy, and that agitation. So there might be some authority figure trying to tell you what to do and you get a bit agitated. So even if they're trying to, like an authority figure is trying to calm Libra tense situations and be the diplomat, we can still get agitated by it, by those situations. So if you're in a position of leadership and you're the one trying to calm the storm around you, so to speak, don't be surprised if it's having very little effect under the tenseness of this energy this week. So keep that in mind. It's probably not you, it's the energies in the world at the moment. So there is this rebellious and unruly streak present in the world under this conjunction this week. And people will be exhibiting this by being extra pushy, bullying, and having more reactive behaviors. As you can see, it's a volatile week, and being forewarned and forearmed is a way to navigate it. You know, if we're prepared, then deep breath and away we go. But look, there is a positivity to this connection as well, even though both the Sun and Mars are actually in debilitation in the sign of Libra. I mean, Mars is opposite its natal rulership of Aries, and the Sun is exalted in Aries, so it's also in fall in the sign of Libra as well. Now, even though that's the case, like I said, there's a positivity here. We might observe people becoming very highly motivated to go after their goals now, because the Sun is our ambition and Mars is energizing. And especially on the 8th, when the two come together in exactitude, when they are cazimi, that's what it means to be in cazimi, they're at the exact degree, then we get greater benefits when a planet is cazimi with the Sun. And so we have more impetus now to go after our goals. Some people will be able to achieve a lot and accomplish a lot under this influence towards their goals. Also, just as a note too, it's worth realizing that the dispositor, the ruler of the sign of Libra, is Venus. And on the day of this conjunction, the 8th, Venus is at peace in the sign of Sagittarius here. So that's good to see the ruler of all this energy in a state of, which is great. Now, albeit it is in a conjunction with the South Node or Cato, but look, that's a topic for next week's video, so I won't go there for now. But let's break down all signs for this energy of intensity between Mars and the Sun occurring from the 2nd of October to the 9th of October. The energy of agitation, competitiveness, confrontation, rebelliousness, and even frustrated leadership, but also in the positive, high motivation. Cling to that, aim for that. Aim to direct your energy into something like worthy goals, and you will actually be manifesting the higher vibration of this energy, which is what we really all want. So let's start with our adorable Libra people, Libra rising, sun or moon people. So this is obviously falling in your first house, Libra. And so this means that there might be more fight in your life this week. You need to be a warrior this week. You need to get your Mars energy on. Be that hero, be that Amazon Queen, be that Wonder Woman, be that Captain America, Superman, Christopher Reeves. Get that warrior energy on. But realize also that buttons will be pressed easily in your life this week. There'll be some contention, arguments, and disagreements, but thankfully you are all Librans, and this expression in you, if you're feeling contention and argumentative, it's not going to come across too objectionably because you are Librans after all. The diplomat, the harmony giver, let's say, or the harmony seeker at least. You might feel it within, but because you're Librans, it's not going to be like if it was in a more volatile, let's say, sign in your expression to the world out there. So Mars is a highly sexualized planet. So is Venus, but Mars is the masculine expression of energy, the proactive expression of sexuality. It goes after what it desires and lusts for, so to speak. So as Libra and moon, sun, rising sign people, this week you might be identifying yourself. The sun is how we identify ourselves, and here it is in a conjunction with Mars in the first house of the body. You might be identifying with a more sexualized image this week, so you might be dressing more sexy, more revealing, more wearing the tight dresses or the muscle shirt or something like that feels a bit more there's also perhaps maybe more opportunities for you to get jiggy with it this week as well. So, but mostly it's likely to express in your appearance, this highly sexualized energy and identification with the sexual side of you. So you might be just moving away from the sexual energy of Mars. You might be required in some way this week to be the diplomat, Libra, and to fix problems in your life this week. Mars is I heard one of my dear friends describing Mars as, whether you agree with this or not, it was her interpretation and I really liked it. Mars is not always the aggressor. In fact, my friend described Mars as a red velvet cushion. I don't know how accurate that is, but keep in mind that the ancient god Mars, the Roman god Mars, was a just fighter. He only went to war when it was for a good, solid purpose. Unlike the Greek god Aries, who went to war just for the sake of fighting. He was like the football hooligan. That is Aries, whereas Mars had a bit more nous and a bit more dignity about him. So I like Mars as an energy, whether he's a soft velvet cushion or not, but there is a rightness to Mars that I love. So back to what we're talking about here, you are going to have this right energy of wanting to fix and make change to problems in your life this week, Libra. If there is an issue in your life, you have the energy and the drive and the go-getter and the impetus to make the change. So that, in a sense, is a good way to use Mars. Get on it. Fix those problems in your life. Now, make sure that you have a physical outlet, okay? This is the house of the body, first house. Make sure you have a physical outlet for your body's increased energy this week. Be also very conscious of your relationships, as you always are, Libra, I know. But be very conscious of your relationships this week because Mars rules your 7th house here. In a conjunction, agitated by being with the sun. There could be frustrations with relationships. Remember, forewarned is forearmed, and that's business partnerships as well as with your clients, as well as with marriage and committed partners. Moving along now to Scorpio rising, sun or moon people. The energy of Mars in an agitated conjunctional week with the sun is falling in your 12th house. And in your life, things might be very active this week behind the scenes. There's a lot going on behind the scenes. You might need to fight some sort of hidden enemy this week. You might even be fighting a spiritual war this week. You might not realize this is what you're doing, but there might be in your life some kind of ethereal, energetic war on a higher plane that your soul is fighting. And you might be fighting this war in your dreams. So you could be waking up more exhausted this week, Scorpio, because of all that work you're doing in your dream life, perhaps. Now, Scorpio people, this is rising sun or moon, you can contribute greatly to raising the vibration on planet Earth this week through taking a spiritual warfare approach. Now, I've just described that occurring in your dreams, which might be happening quite unconsciously, obviously, in your life. But you can also do this consciously through praying and meditating as if your life depended on it. You know, ask the higher realms, ask the ancestors to intercede now and help the planet. You guys have a tremendous responsibility, shall we say, to take a leadership role, sun, in these spiritual matters and to act on behalf of the planet in a spiritual war right now. So, like I said, meditate, pray as if your life depended on it, even if you're feeling restless and uncomfortable in doing so. Because Mars is agitated with the sun in the 12th house, you might not feel very comfortable sitting there and praying or trying to go into a meditative space, but please do so because you guys have the power to get in there on the spiritual plane. As I've already alluded to, you might have a bit of a restless sleep this week, possibly maybe violent dreams, sexual dreams, agitated dreams. Don't be surprised if that comes up. And if it does, it's a passing energy. It's not going to permanently be that way, but don't be surprised if you have dreams of that nature. Now, also, this is the house of bed pleasures, and so your intimate life can be highly activated if you have, for all of you Scorpio people, this is whether you're in a relationship or not. You will probably want to connect with that passionate side of yourself, and it's in a pleasurable way. You know, not all Mars conjunct Sun energy in the 12th house is going to be spiritual warfare stuff. It will, that desire for sexual pleasure, Mars, and vitality of the Sun in the house of bed pleasures is activated. So by all means, indulge in those pleasures in the bedroom if you can do so in a way that is not dangerous or not harmful to anybody else. Okay, of course, that's always the mantra. Do no harm. Finally, for you guys, there can be subconscious fears, because this is the house of subconscious fears and worries about violence and about war that can manifest at this time and lead to mental exhaustion. So do be conscious of having that escape valve, what works for you to give you a rest and a reprieve and generate balance in your life again. Have something up your sleeve ready. Have plans to rest in ways that work for you. I will also just mention before we move on, be careful of your spouse. If you're married or in a business partnership even, be careful of your partner, because this house is the 6th house from the 7th. Here is the 7th house. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 houses away. And the 6th house is difficulties, ill health, problems, and so on. And so the spouse can experience issues with health, problems, difficulties, victimization, that sort of thing. So keep, conscious of your spouse and look out for your partners in the week ahead as well. All right, so Sagittarius rising, Sun or Moon people. The energy of the Mars-Sun conjunction is falling in your 11th house. So you might be feeling very activated and motivated to generate some more income in your life. You can use the Sun's vitality and Mars's energization to direct your efforts into creating gains. The 11th house is gainfulness. But I want to point out that it's not a good time to participate in group sports. It's not a good time to participate in any group competition. It's probably also for Sagittarian people, think twice about going to a big mass sporting event as well, because any sort of mass event where there is competition is prone to agitation. We could even see, under this energy, riots occurring at sports events under this agitated energy, and you wouldn't want to be there in some kind of soccer stampede or something like that. So just be aware, and conscious if that's on the cards for you this week. You're going to go to some event like that. Yeah, have your wits about you. So with a high level of consciousness, as most of you beautiful Sagittarian people will be in, it is possible that you might be being called to lead groups and take a stand for justice and humanity with this energy falling in your 11th house. Now, if you feel this impulse, I would suggest that you honor it. This is a forceful energy that's present within you now, and the Sun is leadership in the 11th house of large groups of people, and Mars is the energization of that leadership. So don't sort of, if you get the opportunity, then don't deny it. You might be being prompted by the universal energies to take a leadership role. Do be wary of competitiveness, anger, or aggression with your friends. This is the house of our friendships. And of course, we don't want to, throw the baby out with the bathwater just because we're feeling agitated and irritated and we lose a friendship because of it. So forewarned is forearmed, of course. You might have some breakthroughs this week as well, after maybe some initial frustrations that might occur throughout the week. By the 8th, when the Mars goes cazimi with the Sun, you might have a breakthrough with some sort of friendship circumstance, with a network, with connections, and with your aspirations and goals and dreams. Moving along to our Capricorn friends. Capricorn rising, Sun or Moon people. The energy is falling for you in your 10th house. A Very strong house for Capricorn people. This is the 6th house from the 5th. I need to start off by saying, so because this is an agitated energy, guard your children this week and guard them from maybe heat-related health conditions that I spoke about in the intro. Also, look out for them in terms of accidents, don't let them do anything stupid like go climbing on the roof or anything like that. And if you do have a fireplace, remember these are 2 fire planets, just watch your kids around fire this week. Now, there is a high motivation to succeed in your job this week under this energy. There's vitality and energization going to career. So you do have the potential to channel this energy into something positive for yourself, potential to turn maybe an ordinary career into something special through like an act of your own will. Mars is our willpower. The sun is autonomy. And so through your own independent actions, you might be able to transform your career this week. Now, this is also the house of the world out there, and how people perceive us out there. So you might identify yourself, the sun is how we identify ourselves, with something Mars related now that could affect your reputation. So let's use an example. What does Mars rule? Well, it rules the sexual lustfulness or sexual desire or sexiness. This week, your reputation might be influenced by some kind of sexuality. You might be, do a sexy dance on YouTube or Instagram or something like that, and it goes viral. That could happen for some people. Your identity and your reputation is somehow linked to sexual expression. The same could be said for other Mars things such as anger and antagonism. So that's perhaps not so fun as doing a sexy dance on Instagram. But yeah, be careful that, you don't sort of get all agitated in a circumstance and somebody's there videoing it and it goes viral on YouTube for the wrong reasons, okay? Your reputation this week could be influenced by this Mars energy. But Mars is also youthful and the sun is leadership. So youthful, like you might be a leader of young people this week in some way and motivating young people in a leadership position, and you get recognized for that, and your reputation and social status is somehow influenced by that this week. Now, this is also a house of authority figures. Authority figures could be pushing your buttons now. There could be conflicts with government officials and rule givers. Hello. Forewarned is forearmed. So keep that in mind. Keep your cool where you can. Again, you don't want to go online and go viral for the wrong reasons. And if you can, take a strategic approach to your reactions. Mars is strategy in its higher manifestation. Take a strategic approach to how you're going to react to provocation from authority figures this week. Plan things out in advance where possible. All right, Aquarius rising, sun or moon. We're seeing the energy of this conjunction of Mars and the sun falling in the 9th house. Now, if you're feeling the hot frustration this week and you're in a position to do so, I would encourage you to take a trip or immerse yourself into some alternative culture. It will take the edge off. Travel is going to be the antidote where you can do so, especially if there's water involved, like a trip to the beach or going to a river somewhere or something like that. Get out of your situation by going to maybe, I don't know, if you can, if you're in Europe and you can travel at the moment, go to a coastal country for the weekend or something like that. It can be very, very helpful for dissipating that intense energy. So do be careful of accidents in your travels though, like, make sure that if you're going to travel or fly or something, your suitcase is well secured so there's not an accident with your luggage or anything like that. And yeah, watch out take precautions with travel accidents. But look, we can sit at home wrapped in cotton wool and never live life, and I don't want anyone to do that. But if we take precautions, forewarned is forearmed. I say it a million times a reading, don't I? You can take precautions. And just don't do anything reckless. So that would be my advice with this. Use the energy for the best and take precautions where necessary. For some people, there might be some agitation with a father this week or father figure, maybe some heated words, some antagonism, some irritation that might be present. This is also the house of purpose. So it might see you feeling excited, getting excited about being a warrior, being a fighter for a just cause. There might be purpose here for you. Some people might be in the negative, pushing their beliefs on others now. You might be doing that to others. Other people might be doing that to you. So just be conscious, avoid bullying people with your dogma, and take it with a grain of salt if people are doing that to you, because it's the energy of the week, okay? Some people might have a, better career success this week through the use of social media that's directed to foreign countries. So if you're in a business that utilizes social media, and most businesses do these days, try and direct your efforts to in social media to people in other cultures this week, and you may see more success for your efforts. All right, our gorgeous Piscean sun, moon, and rising sign people have the energy. This doozy of an energy. Mars conjunct the sun only happens once every 2 odd years, falling in the 8th house. So this is an energy for getting mobilized by crisis experiences. This could be on the cards for you this week. The extremes in our lives right now might push us to be more warrior-like and take more aggressive action. Now, we're Pisces, aren't we? We're not aggressive by nature. I'll give you an example. This week, I have really felt the impetus to do my FU dance, if you know what I mean by FU dance. I've been doing it a lot lately because there's so much tenseness and frustration over the crisis experiences that are occurring in my country. I know I can't go out there and make much of a difference, so I'm channeling my frustrated energy into a dance that's a bit like this, a bit like putting my frustrated energy out there and directing it to the appropriate parties, shall we say. So that's my very Piscean way of entering into my Amazon Queen energy, my warrior energy, in an energetic way without being confrontational. So, we can utilize actions like that now in response to crisis circumstances that appear in our lives, Pisces. We might also have some cause this week to take some sort of fast. Mars is fast action that's required to completely change our lives around. So, something might happen, maybe some sort of small crisis in our life, and we're like, right, let's quickly make a decision. Mars will make it happen fast, and it might completely 100% turn our lives around. Quick transformations are very possible for Pisces people this week. You might have thought life was going in this direction, but by the end of this week, it might be going in that direction. There is a huge dynamism here for 180-degree turns around in life. And that's not necessarily for the worse, people. I'm not talking about that. Can be equally for the good. And the reason that I say that is that for Pisces people, in Vedic astrology, Mars is their indicator for success, wealth, and prosperity. Why is that? Look at the chart. Here is Pisces rising. Mars rules the 2nd house, self-sustainability and materialism. This is a house of wealth. And it also rules the sign of Scorpio in traditional astrology, which is the luckiest house in the horoscope, the 9th house. Mars is like a yoga planet for you, a wealth yoga planet. So here is transiting Mars in the 8th house of transformations. And I might add, making a conjunction with your 5th house lord, the moon, at the new moon this week, Pisces. Sun and the moon and Mars are conjuncting on the new moon in your 8th house. You guys could see a big transformation this week, manifesting in your life in some positive, perhaps financial way. This is the house of inheritances and legacies, the house of other people's money. So it could bring you blessing this week. And that's only for Pisces people because Mars is your financial indicator. It doesn't work if you're Virgo. It doesn't work if you're Sagittarius. It's only for Pisces people where Mars is their financial wealth yoga planet. Keep in mind though that if this does happen for you Pisces, it may still come with a sense of frustration and agitation because Mars is going to be in a combust situation with the sun for most of the week. It's only cazimi on the 8th. So I'll try and give you an example of this. The sun also, I might point out, is your 6th house lord Pisces. So the 6th house can represent frustrations and problems that need sorting out. So for example, you guys might receive an inheritance this week. And I'm not talking, that you're going to receive multi-millions of dollars, but, you might get left 10 grand by somebody or other and, it really makes a difference to your life. So you might receive an inheritance, but you get told that there are certain actions or changes that you need to undertake before you can receive this inheritance. That's frustrating. So that's what I'm talking about here. Yes, positivity can come out of this, but there might be frustrations that go alongside with it that you'll have to deal with as well, okay? That said, you might have cause to connect this week on a different topic that's 8th house related. Maybe you might need to connect with some sort of crisis healing expert or professional. Now that could be anything from a surgeon to a shaman. I'm not saying you're going to have an accident and require surgery, but you might have a consultation with a surgeon this week, or you might deal with a shaman who helps people in crisis situations. So it's people who are crisis healers and therapists, shall we say, divorce counselors and, psychologists and things like that would be considered people who deal with people going through crisis circumstances. You might have cause to interact with some of those professionals this week. The sun is professional kind of career people. There's also for Pisces people an increased sexual energy present this week that could manifest in terms of passion, desire for tantra, desire for a vitalized sexual expression with a partner. But also Mars is fights and agitation when it's combust with the sun in the house of your partner's money. So there could be, for some Pisces people, fights with your partner about money, or fights with others about inheritances, or fights about business matters if you're in a business partnership with somebody. So forewarned, forearmed, I hope this helps you navigate the week ahead, my lovely Pisces sisters and brothers out there. Aries rising, sun or moon people. Well, the energy of the conjunction of Sun and Mars is falling in your 7th house. And these are two agitated planets in the house of other people. Other people in your life, clients, business partners, spouses. So other people are going to be the cause of confrontation and aggression in your life. It's not about you being, well, actually, I take that back. It could be you being the cause of confrontation and aggression in other people's lives because Mars is the ruler of Aries sitting in your 7th house of other people. You might be causing some confrontation. So it could go either way for you Aries people. Some aggression and annoyance with others might be possible. But one thing is certain, you can use this energy to take a stand for justice and to direct your feelings of warriorhood. We know you Aries are real superheroes and warrior type energies naturally. You can direct these energies of warriorhood into a worthy cause. Libra and the 7th house are justice, balance, the scales, fairness. So I would encourage you, if there is a fight for justice needed, get on it this week, Aries. To avoid arguments with your spouse now, you could funnel this amplified energy, I would suggest, into business activities too. This is the 10th house from the 10th in the Bhavat Bhavam system. The more you can focus on getting busy with your career, 10th house from the 10th, then the less energy there is to direct into aggression and fights and argy-bargy with your partner. You might actually be highly motivated to even pursue your business affairs very aggressively now, and that can really pay off for you. So that's the way Aries people to channel this energy. Let's move along and look at Taurus rising, sun or moon people. This energy is falling, the sun in a conjunction and a cazimi with your Mars in a cazimi with the sun in the 6th house. Now, interestingly enough, the 6th house is a very difficult house, probably considered to be the most malefic of the malefic houses in Vedic astrology. But for you Taurus people, you might have the easiest time of all. Why is this? Because 2 malefic planets are meeting together in a malefic house, and when that occurs, this can tend to make the energies work in your favor. It kind of cancels out the problematic influence of the malefic house. Yes, you may still have conflicts with colleagues or employees or enemies in your life. Yes, there might still be issues with debt or frustrations with bodily health. But because these 2 energies are so driven, so empowered, like energy, Mars, energized, and vitality, the sun, you are likely to win out over these problems and to come out on top of your problems because of this energy this week. So you can be extremely driven with your work right now, and that's actually probably a healthy avenue to direct this energy so that there's less energy, because everything is energy and we've only got so much of it coming our way. The more you drive your energy into work success and being maybe even a bit of a workaholic this week, the less energy there is left over to manifest as problems in areas of health or finance or having to deal with enemies poking our back, so to speak. So direct your energy into working hard this week and you can really see some benefits. If you listened to the intro, and I hope you did, you can take some precautions that I mentioned in that intro with your health. It's very pertinent for you Taurus people, and that will help you guard against accidents now, and it will also help you honor your mental health. This is a house, the 6th house is often very connected to mental health. Now, if you're feeling frustrated or agitated, do take the time to step away and find your peace in whatever ways work best for you. Okay, so have some strategies up your sleeve as we head into one of probably the most potently volatile weeks for all of us of the year. And you can certainly, as I said, come out on top with all that this week brings you. All right, Gemini rising, sun or moon people. The energy of this week for you, the conjunction of Mars and the sun, is falling for you in the 5th house. Now, this is where you might be feeling very impulsive and very much the daredevil. Now, 5th house is connected to taking a risk, having a flutter on the horses, or, if you're into that sort of thing, taking a bit of a gamble in life. So this week you might feel the impulse to be the daredevil and take risks that you usually wouldn't take. So I'd encourage you to double check and be careful. I'm not overly cautious. I'll take a risk where it's warranted, but I would never advise anyone to sort of jump in without doing their homework and research first. That's just silliness. That's my Saturn in the 5th house coming out there. So there might be opportunities for risk taking and it could pay off very well, but do your research, double check. Children could push your buttons now. But one way to mitigate this, one way to sort of direct the energy into something more worthwhile, is to keep them busy, keep them physically active, not competing. Remember, if you listen to the intro, that's actually agitating this week to be in competition, but just keep them busy. Give them hobbies to do, direct them into being physically active, especially if it involves water. Take them to the pool, take them water skiing, get them splashing in the blow-up pool in the backyard, whatever age-appropriate water activities that are active you can utilize will help direct your children's energies away from the agitation, button pushing that they might be otherwise doing in your life. I'd also suggest, if you're looking to get pregnant, this is not the week. It's not a good time for trying to conceive. There's just too much fire energy in the 5th house, and that burns what is usually required is those moist conditions in the 5th house for conception. If you want to conceive, go, and you're a Gemini person, go for a time when you've got, say, the moon and Venus together in Libra in your 5th house. There's that much more watery energy then happening for you. Feminine, soft, flowy energy occurring. But back to what's happening this week. Yeah, it's not a good time for trying to conceive, but you will be highly motivated with hobbies and the things you love and the things that bring you joy this week. And that includes dating and romance. You'll be motivated towards that. But even though you'll have this strong sexual and romantic desire with Mars, in a Kesenya on the 8th with the Sun, you can still be frustrated by your lovers, frustrated by your dating circumstances, Gemini. That can come up too. You could even have fights with your lovers, but it's one of those energies where we might fight and then have make-up sex, and for some people, they rather enjoy that. So, if that's you, well, maybe you'll enjoy the energy of this week. The Sun and the 5th house both rule the heart as well. And you've got the Sun here in the 5th house. If you are someone who already has heart issues, I would encourage you to take your usual precautions for care of your heart. Don't neglect your tablets or whatever you need to take, and don't overexert yourself this week, because the heart will be a bit more what's the word? Prone was the word I was looking for, but sensitive might be a better choice of word. So just be conscious of that. All right, Cancer rising or Sun or Moon, precious Cancer people. The energy of the Sun in a conjunction with Mars is falling in the 4th house for you. This is the house of our emotions, and we know you Cancer people have the sensitive emotions. You wear your heart on your sleeve a bit. A storm might be brewing deep below the surface. So even though emotions can be very near the surface when we're a Cancer person, there is this very private element to you this week where things are brewing. You might look calm on the outside, but inside the tension is mounting at your core, and frustrated energy deep down might be very strong in you. So be aware, forewarned, forearmed. There might be some competition in your home environment now, or agitation with your family. So, if you're, still in a family dynamic, you might be very competitive with your brother or your sister, and it's just a feeling of inner tension, frustration deep down because of that. If you are an older person, in a marriage relationship, you might find that there's agitation with your family or with your parents or with your children. The general family, intimate community that we have can be agitated now. People can be in your family environment and intimate community might be very defensive right now. You might, say something perfectly innocent and it's like volcanic eruption. Be conscious that could be the case. Now, this includes the spouse. Particularly. Why is that? Because Mars, when he is in the 4th house, he's making a Vedic aspect to your place of planet house of spouse. So not only is your family being stirred up by the agitation here, but your partnership can also be stirred up as well. I would encourage you to check in on the well-being of your parents this week, Cancer people. Make sure that they're doing okay and that you're touching base and everything is cool between you, literally and figuratively. Don't want heated exchanges with parents this week. Make sure also that your home is well protected and safe from fire. So, in Australia we have a lot of bushfires. I know in certain parts of the States and the Mediterranean, they're also prone as well. This is the week for checking that there are no fire hazards around your home. This is the week for checking that your fireplaces in the home are well clear of any blockages and soot and all that sort of stuff. Make sure there's no fire hazards in and around your home. Remember, these are 2 fire planets in the domestic environment coming together, okay? What else can I say about this? You might really desire to break away from any family patterns this week. It's like, I've had a gutful and poof, I want out of here. That could be the case. You might also desire to break away from the influence of either your mother, this is the 4th house, or the father, this is the Sun, and Mars wants to break away from restriction here. Okay? So that could be a thing. You might experience a circumstance where you just want to break out. Now, if you have been suppressing your emotions, Cancer, you might find that there might be some health issues connected to bloating or inflammation with this energy. So I would encourage you to counteract this, Cancer. Instead of internalizing and keeping things suppressed, find healthy ways to speak your truth and honor yourself this week under this energy. Don't go off half-cocked, but you need to tap into, say, maybe some Libran energy of diplomacy and speak your truth to the people who need to hear it. Tap into the courageous energy of Mars to take that step if it's something that you're afraid to do. That might really help your health situation, or it might really help your emotional well-being as well. All right, moving on to our lovely Leos. Leo rising, Leo sun, Leo moon peeps. Third house is where the conjunction of Mars and Sun are falling. Well, this is where frustration and aggression can manifest in third house realms. And this can come out in our writing, in our communications, in our emails, in our social media posts. Or we might find ourselves getting frustrated or agitated by simply watching the news and current affairs. Hello, that happens for me every time I turn on the news, so I don't do it. But here, this is where the frustration, the agitation, the aggression can build up because of the news, because of what we see on Facebook and so on and so on. There's also a restless energy with this placement as well. So if you're a Leo rising sun and moon person and you're feeling this way, take a walk, go for a bike ride, go for a jog, any movement that requires localized travel, moving from one place to another. Get on your skateboard, get on your scooter, whatever, get on the roller skates and head on down the boulevard. Like, take that localized travel, and it can help dissipate this agitated, frustrated energy that could be present this week. Could be very helpful. You also this week, Leo, because you are highly autonomous anyway, this energy, and remember the sun involved with this, the sun rules you. So, you might find it very difficult and agitating and frustrating this week to have to do group work because you're an autonomous sign. The sun is an autonomous planet, and it's with Mars, who's also very independent. Working in the house of small groups is just going to be like, setting off a bomb. There will be some explosions and frustrations and agitations, okay? We can lack patience. We can feel irritated with, the administrative small details of life this week, Leo. Okay, so if you need to I know I'm sort of learning how to delegate, not something I've always been very good at. So I'm learning to delegate some administrative tasks to other people in my sphere who are willing to do that for me. And so that's a good approach. Delegate. Leo, you're the king. Delegate the administrative tasks so you don't get irritated and agitated by them. Okay? You might also feel frustrated by people who are so focused on small details. You're like, just get to the point. Stop dealing with the minute, unimportant details. Like, get to the point. You just want to cut to the chase, and so you might be frustrated by people who don't do that, who take ages to talk to and get to the crux of their story, kind of thing. Your everyday surroundings are seen from the third house too, Leo. So in your everyday surroundings, you might become more competitive this week. There's a buzz of confrontation in the air. I gave some possible solutions to dealing with that in the intro to this video. If you haven't watched that, do check it out. It will help you to navigate that energy. But in the positive, you might be highly motivated to generate your own financial success this week. This is the house of money that we generate for ourselves. And you can have a lot of success this week and be very energized towards producing your own income, which could be very helpful, especially if you are a Leo person with your own small business. And finally, our Virgo people who've waited till last, thank you for your patience. We have the energy of the sun in a conjunction all this week with Mars, resulting in a cazimi on the 8th. What does this mean in the second house of your chart? Well, it could mean that you feel an agitation to the point of feeling pained about the achieving material resources. You know, you are ambitious, Sun and Mars are ambitious planets to achieve material stability and security in the world, but at the same time, you're agitated by maybe the time, you know, how long it's taking to achieve the material success that you desire. You're frustrated by delays, fed up with obstacles, you know? So Virgo, you might be wanting the get rich quick schemes to flow in your favor and be frustrated because they're not. Okay, forewarned, forearmed, if you know this is going to happen, you can deal with it. Fighting with family can also occur. In the Vedic system, this is a house of family, and you might be fighting for your voice to be heard in your family now, to speak up for what you feel is right. Some people might feel like, you know, your family is either against you or it's a case of your family against the whole world. And that can be a frustrated energy. I know a lot of people in Australia are feeling that way because, you know, in their family they think a certain way and it seems like everybody out there is against them. I want to encourage you, if you're feeling that way, stay strong, tap into the warrior superhero energy of Mars and dig your boots in for what you stand for as a family. Your values are seen from the second house as well. So stand true to your values, honor your values, get valiant over your values. Mars is that warrior fighter spirit over what you value, what you esteem, and what you treasure. This is also an energy. The second house is the energy of self-sufficiency. And so you might be hungry for self-sufficiency in your life this week, hungry for the ability to survive independently and looking for ways to survive independently in the world. And I'd encourage you to go for it. Look into those things, research those things, and find ways to do so. The second house is also the house of food. And because you've got all this hot energy in the house of what you eat, the food you eat, you know, hot energy, fiery energy of Mars and the Sun, I just want to encourage you, Virgo, to maintain your Libra balance in the second house by eating cooling foods and taking the time when you eat. I mean, if you've heard of the slow food movement, that's a second house mechanism, to eat with conscious awareness and delight in the food that you have. You also might find, Virgo, that you're more thirsty this week, and I would encourage you to drink more water or juices, that sort of thing, to hydrate yourself. This has nothing to do with the body, this house, but it does have to do with the food that you eat. And I will also point out that the ruler of your sign, Mercury, is in this house as well. So it is pertinent for you guys. The ruler of the body is here in the house of food. And in all this agitated energy, be conscious of what you eat. It will help keep your equilibrium and your balance by eating cooling foods and drinking plenty of fluids. So my lovely friends, thank you for sticking with me for this run around the horoscope and the look at the agitated energy of this week. I hope it helps you navigate everything that's coming your way. Let's close with a prayer. Energy of love in the universe, we invite in your loving guidance this week to help us make wise choices and to move in the right direction with the energies that are unfolding on the planet right now. We ask that all the higher beings hear our prayer to intercede with the corruption and the violence and the injustices that are occurring on the planet now. Step in, we ask, to make the change that is needed so that humanity can get to a state of joy once more, of delight in living, of beauty expressing in our lives and the world around us, and love between one another, because that's the state we want to get back to, and we ask for your intercession to make that happen. And so it is. Thank you so much for joining me, everybody. I'll have another Astro Weather Report for you next week. Till then, much love.